I'd like to call this meeting, our first meeting of 2013 of the Southampton Village Planning Board to order. Happy New Year, everybody. If everybody could silence their cell phones, that would be appreciated. We missed the work session, and this is actually delayed start to the actual meeting, but I think we'll just go ahead with the regularly scheduled meeting
format.
So the first item on the agenda would be the extension for Michael and Annie Falk on Squabble Lane.
It's a fairly straightforward thing. It's a lot line modifications you approved a while ago, and
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hand me? No, this is a lot line modification that you approved a while ago, and my clients just haven't finalized their plans. Nothing has changed. There's no change in the law, no change in the facts. So given all the circumstances, I would hope that you would consider granting us an extension.
You know how long you're going to need, Gil?
And what did I ask?
He's asked for 6 months in the letter
Yeah,
submitted.
it's a 6-month extension. Before, we'd asked for a year, and you said if you gave us 6 months, if we needed another 6 to come back, so we're back.
So that would be, what, 2 and including the August meeting?
Yeah, whatever.
August 2013.
Yep. Yep.
Since that will expire at the February meeting, I'll consult with Kathy and we'll draft up, doesn't appear to be any reason that it shouldn't be granted. We'll draft up a written resolution.
So we actually would take the vote at the February
February
meeting?
meeting.
Okay.
But I anticipate no issues then, just a formality.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
There are no tennis courts on the agenda. Subdivision review, OIA Associates, 212 Windmill Lane.
I think we kicked that over to February.
It has been kicked over to
There
February.
has to be something in writing.
Jackie and Chandler Wells.
We're gonna give it to them.
I've been in contact with counsel for the applicants, and by this meeting, there was supposed to have been the submission of a revised survey, which is going to depict the actual linear distance and the area of the easement. And that has not been prepared or submitted. And council requested this morning another adjournment of this, so there's really, since it's pending decision and we're waiting for the applicant to make the final submission, there's really no need to specifically adjourn it. It's automatically adjourned. But we'll look forward, hopefully, to having the survey submitted, reviewed, and finalize the decision for the February meeting.
Okay, so no action needed at this time.
Correct.
Site plan review, Chabad, Southampton.
And Mr. Bragman did get me a copy of the revised easement. I haven't had a chance to review that yet, but I will. I'll try and get that for you for the February meeting. So that'll be adjourned for all purposes to the February meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn the Chabad of Southampton for all purposes to the February meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that motion passes. The next item is Pelosi, Ioto, and Roller at 50 County Road 39. The chair notes that we've received letters from attorneys from both sides on this application. And also, our consultant has prepared a response to this issue. Fairly weighty issue. Kathy, do you want to summarize where we're at it?
Well, the.
Or read the letter into the,
Oh, I don't think we do
no?
that.
Okay.
It's 3 pages, and I have a stuffy nose. Our starting place was at the last meeting, we had submitted a memo saying that this should be classified as an unlisted action, something that we've held since November of 2011. And the attorney for the applicant had asked to provide a response and case law that would have it classified as a type 2 action, which would require no seeker review. And there's been a submission from Carol Fritz's office as well as from Jeffrey Bragman's office, from the opposition, and with differing viewpoints. And we have a memo that you received this evening that states our position and also has a couple of comments regarding some of the assertions in the letters from the attorney and also VHB, who is the applicant's environmental consultant. One of them being that, and we're holding that we still believe that this is an unlisted action. So the bigger point being that the conditions of the 1977 relief, if that is still to hold true 35 years later, then it's up to the applicant the burden of proof is on them to prove that this is not a more intensive laundry service use than was in practice at that time, and that they actually conform with all of the conditions of the zoning board relief of that time. So that's all in this memo. And there's a few other smaller things that, corrections on the site plan, but those are just minimal, minor items.
No, other than the fact that I think that the issue about the eastern transition line or transition zone is, to my mind, not minor in the sense that it has a significant impact on the overall design of the project. But
that wasn't a minor thing, but
other than that, no further comment at the moment.
On behalf of the applicant, this is the first time that I'm hearing of the memo, and we'd like a chance to respond to that. And you've seen our assertions in writing, and the law couldn't be clearer. And the statement in SECRA and that law is very clear. With all due respect, they're wrong. And I'd just like an opportunity to respond to that memo.
Do you have a copy, Rudy?
No. First I'm hearing it.
So do you want to reply to that at the February meeting? Or in the meantime, or?
I'd love to get a decision on this and get this going. So whenever I have to get you a response to it, I'll do it on your timetable so you can have something ready for the February meeting.
Well, I don't mean to speak for the board, but if I could just clarify it. There are several aspects of this, as Kathy mentioned, and I realize you haven't had a chance to read it, but basically there is the element of disagreement with the applicant's position that the law is clear. I think that Nelson Pope believes that the law is clear in the other direction, given the facts of this case. The other part of it is that there are issues with regard to whether or not this should be reviewed by the Board of Appeals as to the change of use, because the decision of 77 was based upon a laundry use. And then thirdly, there are elements of the site plan as submitted which clearly don't comply with that 77 survey depiction, which will result in the revision of the site plan as it is now submitted. So,
Right. But I'll take it in backwards order.
Yeah.
I'll look at the comments on the site plan and I'll see if they're consistent with the Zoning Board of Appeals decision in 77.
Right.
And we'll do that.
welcome to call me if you have any issues.
And come back. But with respect to use, that's been answered. Asked and answered. This board asked the building inspector, who answered that the use is consistent. Then this board asked the village attorney to take a look at it. He came back and said it was consistent. The opposition then brought a Zoning Board of Appeals application. They found it was consistent. So I don't know how the use is inconsistent.
Well,
That's been decided, asked and answered.
We disagree. The issue.
How could you?
Well, because let me finish. Very simple, because those issues were whether or not it complied with the zone in which the use was located. The zoning decision clearly says 3 times a laundry use. That's not a laundromat use. And this board takes the issue, the fact that a laundromat use is a different, although permissible use, it's a different use than the laundry use. It involves different traffic flow, and the board would like that issue addressed.
Right. I'll address it, but I think it's been addressed pretty clearly
Yeah.
already. Thank you.
So again, your time frame is, it's up to you. I mean,
We just got this tonight, too. I think you gotta read this a couple.
February meeting.
Gotta read it a couple of times to digest it all.
So, what, give me a timetable that you need and I'll meet it.
well, the sooner the better. I'm going to be out of town after the 22nd. So as soon as you could get something to me within a matter of days would be good.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Since Mr. Bragman is not here, all I'd ask you to do is just copy him with whatever you send over. Thanks. So it would be in order to adjourn this then for all purposes to the February meeting.
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn the Pelosi IO2 roller to the February work session.
Do you have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is Victoria Khan at 51 Hill Street.
Yeah.
I'm reading this for the first time, but as you board will remember, there was this issue about the permissibility of the location of a accessory building. And through the fall, there had been several colloquies back and forth between the owner and myself, the building department, that this was an issue not decidable by the planning board, but that it had to go to the Board of Appeals. There seemed to be some confusion by the applicant and/or the applicant's representative as to whether or not they were going to do that. But apparently they have done that. I haven't seen the application, but I presume that if it's made it onto our agenda in the form that it has, the building department staff is aware of it, and therefore it's permissible then to adjourn this for all purposes to the February regular meeting and give them the, I wouldn't know whether or not there's going to be a decision by the January hearing. It's probably to be anticipated that the Board of Appeals might kick that over to February for their meeting for decision, but it's certainly then permissible for this board to adjourn it to the February first meeting in February, so that see what has happened after that January zoning board meeting.
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to
Yes.
adjourn Victoria Khan for all purposes until the February meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda would be Southampton Hospital's application for 240 Meeting House Lane.
Nothing.
They were gonna have a new survey
Right.
done and prepare some updated site plans, so.
So it appears they don't have any further progress on that. Can I have a motion?
Was there actual submission, Pam? Is there a fully submitted
No, the hospital.
application, or was
Pardon
that
me?
just an
Oh, the
informal
hospital,
review
I'm
that's
sorry.
now changed into a different status?
Do you have anything in?
Pam, is there a,
I know they did bring some plans in. I think,
Yeah.
was this Vinnie Gordiello brought
Yeah.
that
I
in?
can't remember whether it was informal or,
I think it was
I
informal
thought
at
it
the
was
time.
informal.
And he was saying they had to do some more survey
Yeah.
work, and I think somebody else
It
was
was
on
just-
the
so this,
job,
this
and they
is,
were
this
just
is,
brought in.
so this is migrated into the wrong place on the
Well, I'm
agenda.
not sure, I thought.
I don't know.
They have an
There's nothing
application?
in
There
here
isn't an application.
dated after November 20th.
Is there an application form, though? Do they have
No.
any kind of an application form?
Nope.
I'm pretty sure he stated it was informal at the time.
Yeah, it was just an informal meeting.
And that he was taking
Yeah.
the job over from someone else, and they had to do field work, and he wasn't sure when
If
he
you
was
could
coming
note that
back.
this should be then retained on the agenda for the informal classification. And there's no need to
It's
move
not
on it
really on
one
the
way or
agenda,
another because
right.
it's not officially on your agenda.
Okay, and the matter of Elka LLC, 20 and 22 Hampton Road.
John Bennett, good evening. This is an application to convert existing numerous retail uses to a single retail use, that of a market. And I guess I'm dating myself when I tell you that I actually remember that as a kid, this was a single market. It was the A&P before A&P moved over to Jagger Lane. So the attempt is to bring it back to where it was. Currently, the property is controlled by the same individual, although they're in different entities, that owns the property to the east, which is the bakery and the Chinese takeout place. And the septic, or the what should I say, the wastewater system for this building is currently on that adjacent building, that adjacent property. It's on the property to the east. That property isn't the improvements on the property to the east aren't as deep, so there's room in the back. We did go to the Board of Review, and it's not, the decision isn't the decision until it's the decision, but I will say that we had a very good hearing before the Board of Review from the Health Department. The idea being that we will formalize via an easement the use of the adjacent property for the wastewater for this building, which is what's happening now. But actually, it works out a bit better because the current system for this property and the property to the east doesn't conform to the Suffolk County Health Department standards for septic design. The new design, it doesn't conform completely either, but it gets a lot closer. So we're going to formalize actually have an easement for that, and also dig out all the existing septic for both the property that's the subject matter of this building as well as the property to the east, and replace it with new wastewater
quick question.
design.
In the event there was an easement, that would prevent if the property were ever split up, the new owner of the shorter property, he would never be able to use that area for anything else because there would be the easement for the septic on
That is correct, yeah. As a matter of fact, in the negotiations, because there is a potential tenant there's nothing signed yet, or actually a potential owner, a new owner there, there's no contract signed yet. It's an easement running with the land, and that's the area behind the, I'll call it the bakery Chinese restaurant building, is going to be dedicated to the septic systems for both buildings, dumpsters and loading for both buildings. So yeah, that's true. You wouldn't be able to expand out, and that would run with the land. So it wouldn't be able to expand to the south, the easterly building.
So you're basically making the two parcels one.
Except they could be conveyed separately.
Yeah, but who's they have to take it subject to the easements.
Take it subject to the easement, absolutely, yeah. And that's what happens. That's what's happening now. I don't know whether or not they were all owned as once. The septic systems in the old days were, somebody'd say, "Can I put it over here? We'll work it out. It's not a problem." Now it's all going to be formalized. Parking. As you know, the code has a grandfathering provision, so we're not adding 1 square foot to this building. Now, I wasn't here the last time. We were covering for the project architect, Don Jewell. We somehow seem to have inherited this application. But one of the questions was, well, you have to give us some information on, what's happening and what was happening in the past. So I was scratching my head, said that's going to be difficult. Let me go back and look at what the code actually says. The code says that you base parking on it's one space per 180 feet of gross floor area. Now I looked at the village code. The village code defines gross floor area in the residential setting. To calculate GFA, it says you go from exterior wall to exterior wall. So it would just be the exterior of the building. So what you're doing inside doesn't matter. There is no definition of gross floor area in the village code definitional section. There's no definition of gross floor area that I was able to find for commercial uses. You find a definition. You find the use of the word usable floor area in the zoning code as it relates to requests for variances, but it doesn't say usable floor area when you're talking about calculating parking. So I said to myself, okay, you've got a code definition that says, in the village code, that says, you calculate gross floor area by going from exterior wall to exterior wall, but that says, that's in a section that's GFA for residences. So you don't have anything for gross floor area in the code definitional sections. At least I didn't find one. So I went to something that I have in my office called, it's the 4th edition Dictionary of Architecture and Construction. And I'll hand some of these out. And I was actually very surprised to find the definition in there. But thank you. And it says that the definition of gross floor area.
Thanks, John.
The definition of gross floor area is the area. This first sentence was probably written by a lawyer, but I don't know, because it has unnecessary wording, I think. But anyway, the area within the perimeter of the outside walls of a building, as measured from the inside surface of the exterior walls. I guess if you've got a concrete block wall, you don't take into account the studding or the sheetrock, but essentially the inside of the exterior walls, with no deductions for hallway, stairs, closet, thickness of walls, columns, or other interior features. Then it says used in determining the required number of exits or in determining occupancy classifications. So it would appear to me that since you have a 1 per 180 gross floor area, there's no definition in the code. The only use of gross floor area in the code is for residential, and that at least in that instance, the drafters were thinking about exterior wall to exterior wall. The only definition that I've been able to find is one that talks about you take the exterior wall and you measure from the inside. And so you don't take into regard any changing of hallways, closets, interior, columns, anything like that. My position is quite clearly that there's no need for extra parking because we're not adding one space, and it doesn't matter what you do inside because the definition of gross floor area already takes into account all that's inside. It would seem to me that
I think the point we made at the last meeting, though, was what is the parking situation? Is it grandfathered for how many spaces you have?
it's grandfathered. I don't know that this lot comes with any parking. There's some loading areas in the back. The parking to the, I guess the parking in between, Main Street and what was the Ferrara family building, I don't think that's village parking. I think that's parking that's owned by those two private buildings.
Well, the fact that there is no parking answers the question.
Yeah, I don't think there is any parking. Yeah. I think the only parking that you would have is that loading area that's behind the Chinese restaurant and bakery building.
In the overheads we saw last week, there were some spaces directly behind the building that are kind of hatched out to not allow parking there.
I don't think you'd want parking there from
Right.
an access point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the saying,
It used to have a.
Here's the saying.
Okay, sorry.
there's 7 existing lots directly behind the building is what this drawing is saying.
Is that an old? That's an old. That's on village property though.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, you've got. They just happen to pick what's there. I mean, you've got the village parking. The nice thing about this, don't forget also, is I think the situation is going to ease up there quite a bit because, well, it's 6 of one, half of the other, without getting too deeply into my 2 cents about how they reconfigured the parking in the back. They reconfigured the parking. I think they lost some spaces.
They did.
But having said that, they also created limited parking in a lot of the spaces.
And
So I
is
think
this
that's
based
gonna
on the
help.
new parking layout? This drawing, do you know, is this drawing based on the new parking layout? Do you have any photos of the back of that?
We don't have any parking though,
I
Steve,
sent the email
on,
I sent you.
That's really, I think the only reason that was there was on the old plan. Remember, we were going to have septic on the village parking.
Well,
lot.
yeah,
We're not
leaching, roof
doing
runoff.
Leaching, I'm sorry.
Roof runoff on, and that's what this is showing.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But
under
you
the
also made
existing-
a point of putting existing Village of Southampton parking lot, so.
Okay. But there's no parking on site. There's loading on site, but there's no parking on site.
So there is a survey of this property, though, an actual land, property line
I
survey.
think it's the Squires Holding survey. We can,
Yeah.
would you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get it.
And one reason is there's a couple of, he's got a couple of meets and bounds on the top and one on the bottom, and then two more on this side that are repeating.
That
And
don't-
another one turns sideways, and I'm not exactly sure
Okay.
what.
I'll just
you
get you,
say.
I'll get this survey from Squires and Holden.
And I don't have the exact language, but the way the grandfathering works, it has something to do with the, uses that were documented and, that they had COs for. So is, are you gonna use the upper story of the
No.
western
No,
building?
no, that's office up there. There's an office or so up
Okay,
there.
so that's not going to change?
No, I'm not gonna use this,
And
just the
how-
one story.
And that's been an office for how long? The top part of, I
As
guess
far
that's
as I
number
know, as
20.
always, my God, I don't even know if these buildings have
Okay, so it's
COs.
just kind of documenting this, the
No,
prior
it's-
use.
Yeah, they have that on the first, they have that on the first page, that it's 11,451
In there.
of dry stores and 1777 of non-medical office.
Sanitary.
Yeah, he's got it for
Right.
his calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting back to just a simple question, the addresses, they have 20 and 22 on the agenda.
Yeah, there's also 3 tax maps that this
Yeah.
building has, so for ease, we can, that's probably, an old
Is
designation.
it correct that it's 20 and 22?
20
is
and
the address?
22,
Okay,
and
just
26 is
checking.
the one
And then
next door.
26, and there's no
26,
24?
and that's the Chinese, that's a bakery?
That's the bakery and the Chinese
And the
place, yeah. And actually, it's interesting, this one parcel, for some strange reason, has 3 tax maps, but I don't know why.
And they don't, you're actually, you're taking up the septic for the bakery also and putting a new one in?
Everything that's back there in that little notch, which is south of the bakery, is septic for both buildings. That's all coming out. Not only is it all coming out, but there's go ahead. It's all coming out and new wastewater.
Two separate.
systems.
Yeah, it looks like,
Two separate.
systems.
it looks like there's
systems.
two separate
Yeah.
systems,
Two separate
but I don't
systems.
see any, is there calcs on the, I think there's only calcs for this building. There isn't any calcs for
For the
laundry.
Chinese.
Yeah, the bakery
food and
and,
the bakery. I don't think they're
and
all-
Chinese restaurant. There's just calcs
Do you care
for,
about that? I mean, it's not really within your
well,
jurisdiction.
you're just gonna have to do it, I mean, if you're gonna do it, you have to
Did
do
it.
it when
We
you
did
apply to
tonight.
health,
We
right?
did. I had
Oh.
to a board of review meeting about 4 weeks ago. The issue
Okay.
didn't come up, so.
Well, I only wanna see because we're looking at a tight site and I wanna make sure that whatever is proposed here, make sure that our proposed system for our building conforms to setbacks.
Conforms to what setback?
If the setbacks required by the health department, like if.
No, it
if-
doesn't. Some of it doesn't, which is why we were before
Oh,
the
you gotta
board
go
of
to board
review.
review.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why before the
All
board
right.
of review, yeah. No, it gets a lot closer to conforming than the existing systems.
Okay.
But one of the reasons we were there was for separation.
Okay.
We can't meet the separation between
Right,
leaching rings.
yeah,
and
that's what I'm
separation
looking at
of the-
here, that's why I didn't see any calcs for this, and and it doesn't look like it meets the separation.
No, it doesn't. Then that's
Okay.
what we were there for. But the board liked it because you have a situation where you have
One system for two
non-compliant-
buildings, right,
non-compliant systems, and this
Right.
is getting an
Much
awful
better.
lot closer.
Yeah.
Awful lot
Kathy, are
closer.
we a little bit in the same place with this application as with Snow White, in that Snow White had a grandfathered use as a laundry,
This isn't grandfathered, this is retail to retail.
I'm just talking about
Conforming to
parking, though.
conforming.
and all of a sudden you're changing use?
Nope, retail to retail.
No, I don't, this is not really.
It's not the same
No,
thing.
it's
So you-
not, because they have.
even though
cleared a
the
lot
use
parking
of
outside.
stores might have different
I don't-
parking things going on than a supermarket.
Not the way the code reads.
No, because they're all retail, they're
They're all
all
the same.
village
Yeah.
business
They're all the
uses
same.
permitted.
Okay.
The difference with Snow
And he
White,
has no parking. John's not even offering us
Never
parking.
did.
Don't have to worry about that. Good.
Roy, the
Never had it, not
difference
going
with Snow White was that that zoning decision discussed relief in terms of the use.
Mm-hmm.
And it specifically said that the expanded part of the building could not be used to expand the laundry use and/or equipment. So those restrictions create a very unique configuration of that property in that decision. But this is, as John is correct, it's one permissible village use changing to another permissible village use. John, what's the net floor area? The gross floor area, what's the net floor area?
I didn't calculate that because it didn't
Oh, just
seem.
what was his
it didn't
definition of
seem-
it? Does
seem
that-
germane to me.
Is that the net area exclude hallways and things like that?
I didn't calculate the net area.
I
Again,
know you didn't, but
it
I'm
didn't
asking if you looked at his definition of it.
Oh, I didn't look at his net. Oh, this?
Mr. Harris, what
Oh,
does
also
Mr.
see
Harris
net
say?
floor
a
area. I
net-
guess he's saying that net floor area doesn't.
You're a golfer, are you not?
This is what it says. This is dangerous because I haven't looked at it. Let's see what it says. I hope it doesn't say something that hurts me. That wouldn't be good, would it?
Maybe you better read it first.
No. I'll read it. We'll all read it the first time. Net room area. What are we looking at? The total usable floor area in a building measured to the inside of the enclosing walls. So, you know how the zoning code when you're going into the ZBA, well, even there, most of the time,
Well, that's a bit of a contrasting then, if that's the interior wall, if that's the interior of the exterior wall, then the gross floor area must include to the edge.
I think
Outside
gross-
edge.
Yeah, the outside edge. Well, yeah, although his definition, that's why it's a strange definition. It says, I think, because it says the area within the perimeter of the outside walls,
Yeah.
which sounds to me like you're just
Yeah,
measuring from
right,
the
I know.
outside walls, but then he says, as measured from the inside surface of the exterior walls.
Yeah, that's
I
why I
know.
said it was interesting contrasted with his definition of net
Sounds to me
floor
like
area.
all he's taking, if it's a cinder block building, all
Yeah.
he's doing is the width of the cinder block, he's not.
Yeah. But then, if you look at, contrast it with net floor area, it looks like they're measuring to the actual outside of the exterior wall.
Well, he says measure to the inside of the enclosing walls. Oh, I guess that's it. Yeah. But then he says usable floor area. So one could argue that that doesn't include, I guess, hallways, stairs, closets, thickness of. Who knows? I don't know. Again, it's the closest it's the only definition I could find.
You said the loading zone, I think you mentioned, was going to be placed, there wasn't a loading zone needed, but the trucks would unload in the same place that they do now?
Yeah, we had a photograph of a boxed.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
yeah,
this
that's
little-
coming out.
That
That's,
little building, so that doesn't show up on here.
no, it doesn't show up because it's coming out. This, if I may, I'm sorry, Kathy. This building here, and this, which is a walk-in for the bakery building, these two buildings here, I couldn't find any proof for that. Anyway. So, quite frankly, we told the owner, this stuff has to come down. So it comes down into this building, which houses, was an attempt to house, A&P had and it's still there, actually, it's a conveyor belt that goes down into
It
the
doesn't show on the
basement.
survey, and say on the survey to be
To be
removed, how
removed.
would the board know?
Well, that's a problem, yeah. But we'll make that change. This building here and this walk-in are going to be removed. So it really opens up that.
And are they gonna do anything with that telephone pole?
Telephone pole is going to be moved.
Because it looks like it lands like right on where the expansion tank
That's
for
right.
the
The telephone
septic
pole
field is.
is at surprising expense going to be moved.
Yeah,
Yeah, at surprising expense.
they're not cheap.
No.
It's still a bargain.
But we'll note the site plan. I think it doesn't say to be removed anywhere, huh?
No, but it's not shown on the plans as a
No,
building-
no,
as a
that's
part
not
of the
good.
building. There's a dotted outline of where it is.
Right.
And there's a dotted outline of where that other freestanding building is, and they're both not shown.
No, it should say
or
to be
calculated.
removed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then we have a photometric plan, which is a lighting plan. we have the actual first floor plan. John, I did ask him to show the columns that exist both in the cellar and on the first floor. He just showed them in the location that they are. Obviously, on a building permit application, we have to satisfy John Foster that we're removing any columns. It's not going to have any negative effect on what's going on upstairs. But there are a surprising number of columns in the building. So. But really, I think actually it creates a lot more order and going to be a lot more attractive. You have this sort of mishmash of retail uses that you walk through there. Half the time, half of them are empty. So you're going to utilize the building to a much better degree. Hopefully, help that street, bring some traffic onto that street. It's always, Hampton Road and Nugent Street always been sort of support stepchildren to Groves and the street. So we think it'll work. And again, it's going back to what it was. Population in Southampton was a little bit less when that was the A&P, but it's one retail use. It's currently numerous retail uses there. Not one change in the square footage. No facade change. So we hope it's not problematic. I was concerned at first about the septic system, but for both of them. But the border review, again, I don't have a decision yet, but I would say it went very well. And we can get you the survey and.
Kathy, what about your concerns regarding trucks making deliveries there?
Well, it does appear that there is enough room for a box truck such as this to get in and out of there. So if that's the only type of deliveries they're gonna have, it's just a pain for them to unload and load. They don't have a loading dock, but.
Well, we can make that a condition.
You don't wanna have to have a loading dock, doesn't add anything to the village. We had a question about the shopping carts also.
He showed an area for that.
He showed an area for them, but the question is, you go to a supermarket and there's shopping carts all over.
It's not a supermarket.
No, if I go to my supermarket, there's shopping carts all over the place, and in the village parking lot. They intend to have.
Most of if the intended use turns out to be what the intended use is, and again, still in negotiation, they are, it's, baskets.
Shopping baskets. I don't see that
And he's
being a
got,
good thing.
What's
That's
that?
That's a detail, but I don't see that being a good thing.
The
having
shopping baskets?
Shopping carts out in that
Oh, I
village
understand
parking
that.
lot,
I understand.
so
And he shows it in two different spots on C-102. He's showing landscaping at the bottom of the page and cart storage in between the two entrance and exit doors. And on A-101, which is his blown up floor plan, he has them flipped.
Okay.
So he's got the cart
So
storage
there's an
here and the planter
inconsistency
up there.
between,
So just figure out which one he wants to do.
Okay. for the, it's inconsistency between A-102 and A-101 for the location of the,
A-101 and C-102.
oh, C-102. What are the features that are inconsistent?
C-102 is the combined site plan, and it shows
No, that I got.
it shows the landscaping area to the east and the cart storage in the middle of the building. And then on A-101, it shows the cart storage to the east and the
Okay.
landscape plan,
That
which he's
doesn't
calling a planter
Okay.
in the middle of the building.
Okay. Gotta be one or the other.
And the planter looks like it's 1.5 to 2 times as large as the cart storage on A-101, so
Okay.
I don't know how many carts they think they're gonna have, but maybe we should just figure out how many carts they're gonna have and say 20 carts or.
Yeah.
No, I know you've struggled to keep that under control. I think there might even, let me check, there might even be an ability to say that all the carts would be interior, which I assume everyone would
The
prefer.
cart police will never be able to enforce it.
Well, if they make it so that way you can't get a cart through somehow. that if,
Yeah.
shopping cart through, and, or that there's a pickup location, people.
I do get annoyed when I see a cart a mile, a half a mile from where it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's
In the stream.
pretty lazy. So-
And I'm sure these are gonna be those little cute ones that are nice to have around your backyard, so they might even actually disappear.
Let me see if we can do, so if we can fit cart storage in an interior way, that would be better, right?
I'm thinking out loud a little bit here, but what if instead of having outside cart storage, you have it all inside? And
That's
you
what I was
have
thinking.
You have a
Yeah.
pull-off where you can have someone help people load their groceries, and that might actually work better
Okay.
than, I've seen that a lot in Virginia. They have a little pull-off area, and that people, they have people hired to actually help you load your car, and then instead of taking the cart to
Oh, I've
the-
seen that in Florida,
Yeah.
underneath,
Yeah.
comes down a conveyor belt.
Don't hold your breath.
Well,
Never seen it
Getting a
in New
little bit
York,
micro
have
here,
you?
but
No, 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 well, listen, you know, it makes for aesthetically, also it makes for, this it's pretty ugly, this cart stored outside, so. So why don't we, I'll explore interior cart storage totally. If it's the user that it may be, I don't even know if they have carts. I think they have, the most they have is these plastic, oversized hand carts that pull up and they roll. Yeah, so let me, but that may not be an issue.
You might just wanna also get him, just to be consistent on numbers, because he's showing 11,451 square feet for the existing building. And that's what he's using his sanitary flow based on, and then for his roof runoff, he's got 11,586. And I'm not sure where he got that.
It's a different
So
rule.
it should be the same number for the same building.
One is for sanitary and the other is for roof runoff. Okay, yeah, it should be the same number.
Mhm.
let's say, is he calculating for upstairs too? I mean, the total?
For roof? Well, yeah, because there's one partial second floor.
Okay.
So that roof, in plan view, the roof of the bigger spot is held by the floor of that. So in plan view, that, whatever the
Should be the
footprint
same
of the
number.
building is, that's what the square
Yeah.
footage of the roof would be.
Should be the same number.
Different sheet, of course. Okay. And what about the, as soon as you take off this little building, I mean, what are they gonna do with this side of the building? Because it's.
Make it the same facade as the other one.
So the question is there an opportunity to do something a little bit better there? And
Oh, what'd you have in mind?
I'm not proposing anything, I just,
Um,
it is something to think about, though.
And he may have hit a
Because they are
wrong,
gonna put it- There is gonna be a door there, so.
well, yeah, no,
There's an
well,
existing door
that
there.
building's coming
There's
out.
That's coming out, so there's
And
an
there is an-
existing door
There is
inside
a,
there.
yeah, well, there's a door that shows
A man
going
door.
to a loading dock, like a loading ramp that goes down to the basement.
That's right.
That's on the floor plan. They're showing a double door and then a boxed out area inside.
Yeah, so,
So we're just gonna make it the same facade as, I mean, is what's there now.
And has Aldo seen these yet?
no, I sent them to him.
This is
Okay.
all still informal. This is the
Oh, okay, because
No, we still, well, I mean, we
It's a
know,
public hearing.
ask him to check his math on the drainage, because he's coming up with a different number, but, somewhere in the same ballpark of 11,000 feet and plus. And he's calling for a 2-inch rainfall divided by 12 to get into cubic feet. He's coming up with 1,031. I'm coming up with 1,931. So his calc is showing
He's coming up with
Like
1,031, you're coming up with 19.
1931.
It's a difference. It's almost twice, right?
Yeah, which means he'd have to have 2 more dry wells
Okay.
someplace.
Well, what we're gonna do is gonna expand the, just as your permitted next door. The thought was to put it in the village. Thing, but he's got, those have to be correct. This is the, math on drainage, okay.
So what we had done actually previously for the application you're talking
That's just
about
what I-
is
oh.
we had the applicant actually compute the runoff that was
Going in?
going into those pools from other
Got it.
uses as well, and the pavement, so.
Because otherwise, how do you get to,
Can't-
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, so we can't assume that this is just for their roof.
Of course
runoff
not. Is
and-
that-
And the pavement, so.
So
And that is kind of a low point there. Where this,
Is everybody, does the runoff from all the other sources, it's still their responsibility?
well, we had required an additional pool at the other site, because
Oh,
they needed to provide for at least theirs, so.
no, we, it's proposed not to leave it alone, but
Right,
to expand it however you tell us, really. But let's think about that. If the existing, we don't pipe existing runoff into that. You want to see what the calculation is for
We wanna see,
existing?
we
Okay,
wanna
very
see
good.
what's going in now.
Okay,
And he needs to put some dimensions on the existing bakery
We
building.
should really have this whole documented, all
Yeah,
these
'cause,
comments. I mean,
only
we
because-
need to do,
Okay.
we need to do a full, a
That's
staff
fine.
report
Okay.
to pull all this stuff
but I'm going to try
together,
to
so.
get a jump on it now. You need dimensions on the bakery building?
Well, yeah, because he's saying that the bakery building is 7,619 square feet, which actually his math isn't right on this either.
Does that matter, though? Why does that matter? The only
Because he's
thing
showing required drainage.
for the bakery building?
Yeah. He's
Oh,
saying
okay.
add two. He's showing it
He's
showing it coming out the back.
He's showing drainage for both buildings.
separately though.
Okay.
A calc for this building.
Okay.
He's saying, and he's off on that calc, and then he's off in the other direction on this calc.
Okay.
So he's showing 7,619 feet.
For the bakery
And-
building.
Oh no, he's 12. He's right on that one. So he's right on this one, but he's way under on the first one.
Which is,
If that 7,619 is right, but
when you say the second one and the first one?
the first one is the main building for
Right.
your client,
It's got
and the
11,000.
second building is the
Right.
bakery.
You saying he's wrong on the 11,000? I mean, he's off.
He's off on the first one. The second one, if the calc is right, if the 7,619 square feet of this building is correct, but I don't
But
know
it
if
doesn't
that.
show it.
He doesn't
So let
show.
me
He
have
doesn't show the
Okay,
dimensions. So I
got
don't
it,
know.
got
I
it,
don't know
got
if
it,
it's
got
right.
it, got it. Okay. Can't argue with any of this stuff.
I don't know that there was a formal application submitted, is there?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I just found it.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be included in informal.
I don't think it was. I don't think it is it? It's not.
Excuse me,
This is
excuse me.
on-
Sorry.
It's not funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Anything else? Homework to do, thank you.
Who wants homework?
Thanks, folks.
Do we need to adjourn that, or what do we do with that? What would you like to have happen, John?
I just assumed we adjourned for all
Yeah,
purposes for next.
The applicant's requesting adjournment.
Sure, yeah.
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the Elka LLC.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then in the informal review section, we have 1776 Investments Corporation.
That should be on the agenda, because the last time that we met before you, we were invited to make a formal application. We're working on that, so as far as I'm concerned, you don't even need to list it on your agenda until we file an application.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Thank you for spending all that time to make that statement, too.
Sorry, I didn't want to,
Blame John.
I didn't want to cut in front of my esteemed colleagues. That's all right.
Show us a
All right, fellow board members, we have minutes.
Okay.
But who was here when? You weren't here at December 3rd, right? Oh, you might have.
No, I was not here on December 3rd. I was just here for November 6th, so.
And I know Pam might have missed, I can't remember which one of those you weren't here for. Do we have, I just want to make sure we have enough people to vote on the minutes for, in terms of people who actually were.
I was here the last time.
You were on December 3rd, so the three of us
Right.
can vote on that.
I was here for that, yes.
And November 6th, you were here. No,
No, but I was here November 6th.
that was,
Steve was, so we still
Yes.
got three.
we still
we're
have
good.
three. Yeah, we
That was the day Mary was
Yeah,
buried.
right.
Okay, no, I wasn't here November 6th.
right.
See, what was that?
Any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No,
Can
not for me.
we vote on the, approve the minutes from November 6, 2012. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? No. And from the December 3rd, 2012 meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You
And I
weren't here
abstain.
then, right? You weren't here for that one.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, I wasn't. No, I was here for the first
And
work session. in
Antoinette's,
November.
she's taking care of the revisions, right?
Yeah.
So I told you what happened when my car broke down.
Right, okay.
It'll be easier that way.
Yeah, yep, okay.
All right.
There being no further business, may I have a motion to,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.